As we gather around today's campfire of economics, we can't help but wonder, what does the future hold? And more specifically, GDP and unemployment. Of course, both have gone down for most nations around the world, if not every single nation, but we're wondering what's going to happen into the future. It just so happens that I've actually done a presentation for my macroeconomics class at university on this very topic. And so I'm going to be talking about the weaknesses of GDP as a measure of economic well-being, which is of course very pertinent now, and the effects of unemployment in the long term. So let's get into it. And so in talking about the weaknesses of GDP as a measure of well-being, with this overview we talk about social media use is growing, but since we don't actually pay money to use them, you can think of your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and many other services. But the thing is, because they have a market price of $0, they're not captured in traditional GDP measures, which captures market transactions. And so we derive a lot of utility, or we simply derive a lot of happiness from using these services. Why this matters is that GDP could actually be growing up much faster than what the dollar values for each country tell us. However, on the flip side, it also could mean that GDP has fallen down much further now with the crisis. And so that's the first part. But this second part that is going to look especially pertinent as we look into the recovery after the Covid-19 crisis is that yes, GDP will eventually increase and we'll get back to a new normal, and unemployment can go down or decrease, but there are scarring effects for people who have been previously unemployed that persist. And these could be quite large, and some economists even predict that these could last up to a decade or more, these scarring effects. So we'll go into the rest of the presentation. And so in terms of calculating GDP and calculating the value of social media services, let's say like Facebook, Instagram, and so on, we actually have one study that was done a number of years back. And what is shown in this box is we have the price on this side, and we have the percentage of people who would keep Facebook. So it only looked at Facebook, but given the fact that Facebook is the largest social media platform, it's actually a good proxy for all social media platforms. And so each one of these dots represents 200 people from the study. And the way to read this is that the people came in for the research and they were asked to stay off Facebook for a month, and they were asked how much they'd have to be paid to stay off Facebook for a month. Now, this was not a theoretical study, this was actually done. And what the researchers did was they actually tracked the people for a month to make sure that they weren't using Facebook. And the median was that people had to be paid $50 to be kept off Facebook. And so the researchers read this as people valued the usage of Facebook at $50 a month, even though, remember, you don't pay to use Facebook. And that, of course, is $600 a year. Now, of course, this might seem like a small amount, what's $600? That's only for one person. And of course, this is only one social media company. You can imagine if we were to gather all of the social media companies, how many hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of value are we not capturing simply because Facebook does not charge for the use, and neither do most other social media companies. And so using the information in the study, the researchers estimated that GDP growth per year without Facebook between 2003 and 2017 in the US was 1.83%. However, once you add Facebook, it's actually 1.87%. Now, of course, this is only a 0.04% increase. But once again, this is just the effect of one social media company on GDP. And so that's just GDP value that is not calculated. And so stated another way, total nominal income using GDP from the study is calculated to be $102 billion higher in 2017 since the value of Facebook is taken into account. And of course, this is only going to get more pronounced over time as we, of course, use social media more and more, but also as more and more services just open up. And these, of course, replace traditional goods. You can think about Wikipedia replacing encyclopedias, for example, and we're going to have to find a way to calculate their value. And so this is my final slide about unemployment, actually. It's fairly complex looking, but basically what we have is we have male employed, male unemployed, female employed, and female unemployed. And what we have is we have males and females, and we have the mean life satisfaction for both of them when you're employed and when you're unemployed. It goes to reason that if you're employed, you're happier, and that's for both sexes, so that makes sense. However, what we see, so this is for males that are currently employed. If for the past 3 years you've been unemployed for an above average amount of time, Even though you are currently employed, you are actually not as happy as men who are currently employed. However, for the past 3 years, they've been unemployed for a below average amount of time. And this has a potential to be a big problem going forward with people who have lost their jobs who might not necessarily get into the workforce really quickly. And of course, we have the same results with females. The results aren't quite as pronounced as the males. I'm not sure why. It might just be due to the breadwinner thing for men. As a man, you derive a lot of value, the fact that you can put food on the table. And so this is the sense in which economists think that the unemployment effects from this COVID-19 shutdown could last well over a decade. It could take a long, long time for a large segment of the population, or a significant segment of the population, to recover from this unemployment. So yeah, I hope that's helped in terms of GDP and in terms of unemployment going forward. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, rate, and share all the good stuff. It definitely helps my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.